Hi, and welcome. Before we begin, I want to thank you for being here. What you're about to step into isn't just a story. It's a journey born from pain, resilience, and the kind of darkness that shapes a person forever. Neon Nights. Volume 1 was written by my brother Arwin, a man who walked through loss, stood in the ashes of his own world, and still found the strength to raise his voice. These pages come from real wounds, real nights of silence, and real battles against gods, both the ones above and the ones inside. As you listen, take your time. Let the neon glow around you. Let the world fade for a moment. And allow yourself to feel the heart and fire behind every word. Because this isn't just fiction. It's truth, wrapped in story. It's survival turned into art. With that said, welcome to Neon Nights. Prologue. A Vow Forged in Grief. This story is a novel by Arwin. It opens with a preface forged in darkness, born from the author's searing pain of losing his mother. Her absence is described as a wound no prayer could heal, a silence the gods refused to break. What remained for the author was fire, rage without mercy, and sorrow without end. This book is presented as a reckoning, the first strike in a war waged against the divine. The author dedicates the book to all who have lost someone they loved and still grieve in a sorrow that knows no end. He speaks to those trapped in the stillness of time, unable to move forward. He vows to take vengeance not just for himself, but for all of them, promising to carry their sorrow and rage. He declares that every god who played a hand in the indifferent terms of life and death will face a reckoning. His promise is stark. For too long, mankind has bowed to gods. Now, the gods will bow. Part 1. The Hollow Man. The story begins in the year 2025. The narrator, Arwin, wakes at 4 a.m., drenched in sweat. The world outside is dark, but neon streetlights hum and flicker below. He is a hollowed-out version of who he used to be: angry, ashamed, and drowning in unspoken regrets. Suicidal thoughts are no longer visitors. They are described as constant roommates. It has been 2.5 years since his mother passed away, but her memory remains as sharp as a blade pressed to his skin. She was his light, his anchor, the reason he smiled. He remembers her sacrifices and how she used to tiptoe into his room at night to tuck him in. He wonders what he did to deserve her and what he did to lose her. He questions which god he offended so badly that she was ripped away from him at the age of 70. She was gone after a stroke, followed by complications. Now, Arwin's life is spent throwing money at hobbies to dull the pain. Video games, photography, pills, and caffeine. He has no savings, no plan, and no future, because he cannot imagine a future without her. His grief gives way to a simmering, immense anger. He wants revenge. He makes a vow. If there's a god who let this happen, I'll find it, and I'll kill it. He declares he will tear it from its throne and make it feel every second of pain he has endured. He doesn't care if it sounds crazy. He refuses to accept the rules of life and death. He is just a mortal man, but he feels his rage and grief are something divine. But he is stuck. How does one find something that has only ever been an idea, a statue in a temple, or a name in a book? He feels like a coward, all bark and no bite. He shuffles to the kitchen and starts his espresso machine. The morning silence is brutal. When his mother was alive, he would wake to the TV, her voice, and the clink of her coffee cup. Now, there is nothing, just a house without a soul. He drinks a latte from her old mug, the one with the two-tailed siren symbol she loved. The quiet becomes unbearable, and he feels the four walls closing in. He throws on a hoodie, grabs his camera, and heads out into the cold, empty streets. He passes a small roadside shrine and, after staring at the tiny statue of a god, raises his middle finger at it and keeps walking. Part 2. The Stranger on the Bridge. 2 hours later, Arwin finds himself on top of an old flyover bridge. The city looks like a dream of neon signs and tangled power lines. He takes a few photos, and that's when he sees him. A man is standing on the edge of the bridge, arms wide open. Arwin cautiously asks if he's okay. The man doesn't look back, but he speaks. "Have you ever touched a god?" The man turns. His eyes are sunken but sharp, and he has a strange branded symbol on his neck. "They exist," the man says, "but they're not what you think." The stranger seems to know Arwin's heart. You want to find one, don't you? You want answers. Or revenge. The stranger nods. Then follow the cracks. He points to a jagged, thin crack in the pavement, just like one Arwin had noticed on his kitchen floor. They're not random, the man says. They're trails, wounds in the fabric. Arwin blinks, and the man is gone. He kneels and touches the crack. It feels warm. He hears an impossibly faint whisper. She's waiting. For the first time in years, Arwin feels a sense of purpose. He goes home and packs an old backpack. Clothes, a torchlight, painkillers, sleeping pills, a utility knife, instant food, and cash. He takes a photo of him and his mother. "Wait for me," he whispers to it. He arranges for his neighbors to look after his koi fish and for his cousin to care for his dog. Leaving his dog, his brother in fur, feels cruel. But he knows he can't take that piece of innocence with him. He turns his back on his old life and steps into the unknown. He walks toward the crack in the veil, which is now a shimmering, pulsing fracture in space. The moment his fingers graze the edge, the world collapses. He feels a hot, violent surge of energy. And then, nothing. Part 3. Dimension 3. Arwin hits the ground hard, somewhere else. The sky is a color he can't name, and the air smells wrong. He vomits, his head spinning. Reality here seems distorted, stretched, and bent. He collapses beneath a massive ancient tree and is out cold for 6 hours. He wakes up feeling steady, not hungry. He realizes he is in another dimension. The colors are faded and dreamlike, and gravity feels inconsistent. He wanders for what feels like days, searching for the man from the bridge. He finds a civilization of people who look almost human, but they don't know who he is talking about. Finally, he gives up and sits on a stone wall. That's when the man appears again, like smoke. "Didn't think you'd be foolish enough to come this far," the man smirks. "I'm foolish enough to kill a god," Arwin replies. "Coming here was child's play." The man, amused, tells Arwin to come with him. He leads Arwin to a simple wooden dojo. "What's your name?" the man asks. "Arwin," he replies. "And you?" The man grins. "Call me Sensei." When Arwin presses for a real name, the man says, "John, Sensei John, to you. But if you must know, John Castile." Arwin tells him everything, about his mother, the grief, the rage. John listens with a look of familiarity, not pity. Arwin asks what this place is. John explains, "This is the space between, a realm neither of gods nor of men. It is not the afterlife. They call it Dimension 3, a hidden plane untouched by divine law, which survives on the will of its inhabitants." John reveals, "Your hatred, your anguish, your desire to defy fate, that's what brought you here." The rift Arwin found wasn't an accident. It was the echo of his soul screaming loud enough for the universe to hear. John was at the bridge only to guide him, like a lighthouse for a drowning man. Arwin drops to his knees, not in surrender, but in desperation. "I'm here to kill the one responsible," he says. "Tell me how. Please." Zenzai. Part 4. The Fallen Angel's Story. Sensei John decides it's time for Arwin to know who he really is. "I am, or rather, was an archangel of God," he reveals. "The angel of the Lord." He was a perfect soldier. But over time, he grew envious of humans, their chaos, their emotion, their love. God granted his request to experience it. He was reborn as a mortal, to kind, gentle parents who loved him. He had a real home. But one day, John's voice trembles, that home was taken from me. His parents were gunned down in a robbery while trying to help. They died right in front of him. John pleaded to God for answers, to bring them back. All he received was silence. That, he says, was the day I stopped being his angel. The story flashes back to John, as the angel Castile, confronting God on his throne. He demanded to know why life was so short, why God allowed mortals to feel love only to have it ripped away. "Is it your ego?" John roared. "Do the tears of the dying fuel your grace?" God's voice thundered, "I owe you no explanation." He declared that sacrifices are the fuel for his power, and that mortals must die to maintain the balance. John spat back. "Why don't you sacrifice your kind?" Why are the gods above consequence? God sneered, calling mortals ungrateful vermin. John, in his final act of defiance, said, "Then maybe it's time we redesign it." For this, God passed sentence. John screamed as his wings caught fire and his grace was torn from his chest. He fell from heaven, plummeting through dimensions, until he awoke in the twilight world between realms. This was the veil, what he now calls Dimension 3. For centuries, John wandered, bitter and broken. But he found clarity. When he saw Arwin by the bridge, he recognized the same fire, the same refusal to accept fate. Now, in the dojo, John places a hand on Arwin's shoulder. If you truly want to kill a god, you need to learn how to fight like one. Part 5. The Training of a God. Killer. Arwin, moved by John's story, clenches his fist in shared hatred. He learns that in the veil, hunger, pain, and thirst are just reflections of memory. The realm is powered by thought, emotion, and will. John begins Arwin's training. First, he teaches him sigils, ancient markings used by gods and angels. Arwin learns to pour his soul and intent into each brushstroke, guided by his fury. He learns to draw sigils to trap a god, and dual sigils to repel both angels and demons. Next is the sword. John gives him a blade forged from a fallen star. Emotion is power, John instructs. You strike not with strength, but with grief. Defend with hope, attack with rage. As Arwin spars with John, his emotions flare, and the blade shimmers with white-hot energy. Then he learns elemental control. Water flows from his palms when he focuses on longing. Fire erupts when he recalls his mother's death. Wind surges with regret. Finally, John teaches him the God particle destruction wave. Arwin kneels, remembering everything: his mother's warmth, her death, the silence, God's indifference. He focuses the energy, lets his rage spin and his grief turn to gravity. He unleashes a roar, and a blinding sphere of pure emotional power launches from his chest, exploding a massive God relic monolith into dust. John reveals that his own power is fading. He is becoming the fuel while Arwin becomes the weapon. He performs a final, painful ritual, tattooing a soul seal matrix into Arwin's very aura. This allows Arwin to weave sigils, elemental energy, and emotion-fueled combat all at once. For half a year, they train. During this time, Sensei John secretly travels back to Earth to care for Arwin's dog, Ezio, and his koi fish, keeping that part of his humanity anchored. Part 6. The First Trial. Finally, Sensei declares it's time for Arwin's first real trial. He opens a hidden staircase spiraling down into darkness. "What's down there?" Arwin asks. "An echo of a god," John replies. "A fragment of something old, dangerous, malicious." Arwin descends, and the staircase vanishes behind him. In the darkness, he sees a hulking, grotesque figure chained in the center of the room. It has the twisted, half-burnt face of a monkey and 6 eyes. It wields a massive, double-edged axe. The chains explode, and the beast charges. Arwin dodges, but the creature is too fast and strong. It backhands him, cracking his ribs. It shatters his sword and lifts him by the throat. As he's being crushed, Arwin sees his mother's face in his mind. Something inside him snaps. His veins light up with God particle energy. Berserk mode, initiated. He breaks the beast's wrist, punches straight into its chest, and summons a new elemental blade of molten fury. He rams it into the god's chest, headbutts it repeatedly, and then reaches into the wound and rips its heart out. The beast stills. "One down," Arwin pants. When he emerges, Sensei reveals the truth. It wasn't a real god, but an echo, a soul shard of a god John himself had once defeated. The fight wasn't physical. It was a battle of will, fought in his soul. Arwin looks down. His ribs aren't broken. There is no blood. Part 7. The hunt begins. Sensei decides Arwin needs to anchor himself. They return to Earth. Arwin is reunited with his dog, Ezio, and his fish. For a brief time, they try to be normal. They eat ramen and char kway teow. Arwin shares memories of his mother and aunt, but the peace is shattered. After lunch one day, Sensei stops. "We're not alone," He's felt a presence since they left the food stall. Back home, they check the CCTV. 3 figures are lurking, pretending to look at their phones. What are they? Arwin asks. Demons, John says. Scouts, eyes and ears of the underveil. They've been drawn by Arwin's power. Worried for his dog's safety, Arwin decides they must leave. They check into a cheap, anonymous motel, the New Moon Inn. They set a trap, etching sigils under the carpet and in the ceiling vent. That night, a shadow creeps under the door. A tall, lanky demon with a flickering, holographic face steps in. Sensei springs the trap. Golden chains burst from the floor, binding the creature. Under interrogation, the demon reveals the gods know Arwin is alive. You, the grief-bearer, the one whose sorrow bends dimensions. It confesses they want to stop him before your pain becomes prophecy. They track the demons to an abandoned warehouse. They ambush a pack of them, trapping the last one. This demon reveals the full truth. The demon lord has put a bounty on Arwin's head, at the request of the gods. There is a prophecy, a mortal trained by a fallen archangel, destined to kill the divine. The demon lord has sent his 5 best bounty hunters. They're already here. You won't survive. Part 8. Hunter 1. Crota. That night, the first hunter arrives. Crota. He is a towering figure of obsidian and bone, a cyclopean-class demon with a single, enormous eye glowing white-hot in the middle of his face. Crota smashes through the motel wall. His gaze locks on Arwin, freezing his limbs. Sensei and Arwin fight. But Crota is a brute. Arwin ignites his berserk mode, channeling all his grief and pain, and sinks his sword into Crota's eye. They pin the wounded demon. Crota reveals the God-Eater prophecy. The heavens quake at Arwin's existence. You were never meant to be born, Crota whispers. Your soul slipped past the weave. You carry a fragment of something the gods tried to bury. You are the glitch in their perfect code. Sensei confirms it. Arwin's soul signature doesn't match this plane. Crota, trying to self-destruct, is given a quick death by Arwin. 4 more are coming, Crota rasped before he died. Part 9. Hunter 2. Anuk. Back in the dojo's secret library, they consult the Damned Codex. They find the second hunter, Anuk, the will of the damned. She is a former celestial warden who was cast down for showing mercy to mortals. Now, she binds the souls of the unjustly killed, forging them into her armor and weapons. She's a soul forger, Sensei says. She feeds on grief. The more pain you carry, the stronger she gets. They set a trap in an old abandoned cemetery on Earth, a place heavy with unresolved sorrow. They bait the trap with glyphs engraved with Arwin's own painful memories of his mother and aunt. A soul-cold breeze sweeps in. Anuk arrives. She glides barefoot, her face hidden by a cracked porcelain mask, and her form surrounded by the whispers of 1,000 damned souls. You reek of sorrow, she whispers. She knows his pain, his mother, the aunt he abandoned. The trap springs, but she is too strong. She breaks through it, like it was tissue paper. She defeats them both, leaving Sensei on his knees and Arwin shattered on the ground. As she strangles Arwin, Sensei yells, reminding Arwin of everything the gods took, his mother, his aunt, his peace. This is what they fear. Sensei roars. Not your blade. You. Your will. The words ignite something. Arwin's sword begins to pulse, not with red, but with a new neon vapor. Electric blue, blood magenta, chrome green. He stands, the chain snapping off him. He is no longer just angry. He is rage-given form. He strikes, and the vapor peeled at her soul like acid. He dismembers her, and the vapor consumes her remains, until nothing is left but glowing ashes. The kill sends ripples through the cosmos. A voice echoes in Arwin's head. When the lamb learns to bite, the wolves come faster. Part 10. Hunter 3. Minraya. They return to the dojo, only to be immediately followed by lesser demons. They dispatch them in a pre-planned ambush. They consult the Damned Codex again. The third hunter, Minraya. Neither man nor woman, angel nor demon. A creature of silence and pain, its eyes sewn shut beneath a crimson veil. It is a mental assassin that bends minds and feeds on memory. You will forget why you fight when you stand before it, the Codex warns. To fight it, Sensei says they must overdose it on sorrow. They enter the Room of Echoes and use a memory water basin. Arwin relives his most painful memories. His mother's laugh in the garden, her death in the hospital, his aunt's lonely, unanswered calls. They carve these memories into 3 talismans, binding them with mirror sigils. They return to Earth, to a new, dingy motel. The world feels off. The skies spiral unnaturally, and tiny cracks in reality are visible to them. Minraya begins its infiltration. Sensei has night terrors. The TV glitches, showing a distorted figure in red cloth. Arwin's phone autotypes pierce the soul. They find a mimic outside, a burnt mannequin that screams blood. Then, Minraya appears, wrapped in black robes and a red silk veil. Its body is covered in pulsing runic piercings. Its voice invades their minds. You made the air taste like war. The fight begins. Minraya's chains, spectral energies lined with hooks and screaming faces shoot out. One wraps around Sensei. A crack in the veil opens behind him, and the chains embed in his chest, feeding on his energy. Before Arwin can react, the crack swallows Sensei whole. He is gone. Arwin is alone. He fights, but Minraya is too fast. He is swatted aside and thrown into a new dimension, the Crystal Vault. Here, Minraya is gargantuan, a towering god chanting a death song. A new voice, old and peaceful, whispers to Arwin, "Follow the dimensional doors when the sigil glows." Arwin is guided through a series of rituals in other corridors, cleansing illusions of Minraya. Each time he completes a ritual, he returns to the vault and is able to wound the chanting Minraya. After several rounds, Minraya's body splits. Arwin lands the final blow, and the creature shatters. In the vault, Arwin finds the source of the voice, the ancient skeletal remains of another warrior. The spirit, now at peace, thanks Arwin for finishing what he could not. He offers Arwin a glowing crystal shard from his hand. "Take the crystal," the spirit whispers. "My will is your weapon now." Suddenly, Sensei's voice cracks through the vault. He's alive. He performs a ritual to open a portal home. Back in the dojo, Sensei explains he used an emergency sigil tattooed under his skin to escape. But the fight in the vault was not an hour. "Took me 14 days to find you," Sensei says. The Crystal Vault, they realize, is a tomb stitched into the seams of time, where an hour for Arwin was 2 weeks for the rest of the universe. Part 11. Hunter 4, Al-Salak. After 2 days of rest, Sensei consults the Codex. The next hunter is named Al-Salak, an ancient fire demon. He doesn't just burn flesh, Sensei warns. He burns lineage, legacy, name. They cannot track Al-Salak. Fire cancels fire sigils. They must wait. Arwin remembers the crystal shard. Sensei realizes it's not a soul, but raw, mnemonic memory. They fuse the shard into Arwin's sword, binding the hope and memory of the lost warrior to the blade. They decide to stay in Dimension 3 for this fight. If Al-Salak appears on Earth, the collateral damage would be catastrophic. Dimension 3 can take the hit. The signs of his arrival begin. The sky turns rust red. A town in the distance vanishes, leaving only ash and melted bones. The sky cracks open. Fire wraiths thin. Spindly figures of ember and ash attack the dojo, a message from their master. Then, Al-Salak descends. He is a towering figure in obsidian armor, veins pulsing with molten ichor, his face a helmet of ever-burning coal. The world bends to his heat. He points at Arwin, and a ring of molten flame ignites, trapping them in a dueling coliseum. Al-Salak is too strong. He slams Arwin through burning trees. Arwin's new ice shard sword flares to life, and he strikes, the ice biting into molten flesh. But Al-Salak laughs and blasts Arwin with an infernal glyph. Sensei joins the fight, striking Al-Salak in the spine. Arwin slashes the demon's throat. Enraged, Al-Salak charges Arwin, cracking his back against the rocks. As Sensei defends the fallen Arwin, he takes a direct, savage claw hit and collapses. Al-Salak raises his fist for a killing blow on Sensei. Arwin activates an ice shield, but it takes everything he has. Enraged, Arwin charges, but Sensei screams, "Stop!" A sigil on Al-Salak's forehead flares. Arwin swings anyway. The sigil reflects the attack, amplifying it and slamming it back into Arwin. He is broken, his body giving out. As Al-Salak towers over him for the final kill, the demon freezes. The voice of the lost soul from the vault whispers, "He reversed your blow, but the shard in your sword remembers. The attack was copied. Now, give it back to him." With his last ounce of will, Arwin summons the shard's power. The sword moves on its own, rises, and shoots forward, shattering the sigil on Al-Salak's head. The demon's defenses crumble. Arwin stands, broken but alive, and drives his blade straight through the demon's chest. Al-Salak collapses into ashes. "Told you not to attack, dumbass," Sensei coughs. Arwin laughs, then passes out. Part 12. An epilogue of burgers. Arwin wakes in the dojo 2 days later. He feels hungry. Sensei explains that the dimensional barrier is so thin that human sensations are bleeding in from Earth. They agree it's time to go back, eat real food, and regroup before facing the 5th and final demon. They step through the portal back to Earth. Arwin brings his dog, Ezio, back home. His car battery is dead, but he gets it started, and they drive to a burger joint. They order Texas-style steak burgers, strawberry milkshake smoothies, and beer-battered onion rings. They devour the food, like men who have earned it. The Angus beef patty is seared to perfection, and the onion rings taste like victory. For a brief moment, they aren't warriors. They are just two tired men, sharing a laugh over a good meal. The bill is heavy but worth every damn cent. The book ends with an author's note, explaining that Neon Nights was an act of exorcism. When his mother passed, his prayers were ignored, leaving him with a rage he channeled into this story. It is a story for everyone who has felt betrayed by the gods and by fate. Volume 1 concludes with a promise. More violence and satisfaction coming to you in Volume 2 as we hunt and slay the gods. Thank you, truly, for taking the time to listen. I know your time is precious, and the fact that you chose to spend a moment here with this story, with these emotions, means more than I can say. If what you heard touched you, if it made you feel something, even for a second, then I invite you to experience the full, unsummarized audiobook. There, nothing is cut. Nothing is shortened. Every moment, every scar, every breath of the story is told the way it was meant to be. Your support keeps voices like this alive. It turns pain into purpose and stories into connection. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And if your heart is ready for the full journey, the complete Neon Nights will be waiting for you. And that's it. You made it all the way to the end. You listened to his story. And now, go make your own. Seriously, get up. Get out there. Do something wild, dramatic, meaningful. I don't know. Touch some grass. Fight a god. Call your mom, whatever works. Because your life isn't going to write itself. So go on. Shoo. Get the fuck out of here and go live. You beautiful, confused, emotional little twat waffles. Goodbye, and good luck out there.